All right, so this is day 2 of reviewing for summative 6. And we're going to start kind of in the middle of the review packet today. We're going to talk about the prob and stats, the last 2 sections that we didn't really get to yesterday much. And then we'll go back and do some more practice on anything else we need to. But we did start yesterday. We said we were talking marbles. There were 11, 4, 9, and 6 for a total of 30. When it said red or yellow, those are all winners. So we added the red and the yellow. 11 plus 9 was 20 out of 30. You can reduce. All right. Part B, what is the probability of drawing a blue marble followed by a green marble without replacement? So what's the chance you get a blue on the first draw, guys? 6 out of 30. Now, assuming you got a blue, what's the probability of getting a green on the second try? How many green? All 4 green are still there, right? But we didn't replace the blue that we pulled out, so it's 4 out of 29. And that reduces, I don't even know to what, but 1/5, 29 times 5, 5 times 3, 140. 4 out of 145? That's probably totally wrong. Is that right? Good guess, Hofbauer. All right. Did you get that? You good? And then we did 2 blues. So it was 6 out of 30 the first try, and then we went back, assuming we got a blue, so there's only 5 blues left out of 29. And I think that one reduced to 1/29th, didn't it? And then we talked about odds being winners to losers. And for green, it was 4 green to 26 non-green, so that reduced to 2 to 13. What are the odds of drawing red or blue? So we win, the winners are red and blue, which would be how many? Come on, guys, a little participation. 17. How many are left over that are not winners then? 13, right? Doesn't it have total 30? Yeah. Yeah, you add like I do. We're good. All right. And you don't have to write it with a colon, but it just helps me keep track that it's odds. All right. Yesterday we talked about this one. It said 2 different toppings. So we had 6 ice cream choices, then 4 toppings to pick from. Then when he went back, he had to pick a different topping. So 3 to pick from for the second one. That was what, guys, 72? All right. It says Blurda's choosing an outfit. She has 8 tops, 4 skirts, and 3 jackets to pick from. How many outfits can she make if she's going to wear a top, a skirt, and a jacket? That is simply 8 times 4 times 3. I don't know what that is. 96? What, is it 96? Everybody feel okay? Those are what's called counting principle. I think the one on the quiz is more like A than B. All right, number 13. I think we might have talked a little bit about this yesterday, but if we didn't, it's no worries, we're gonna do it now. How many ways can you choose a 5-person committee from a group of 16 staff members? This how many ways or how many different ways is kind of your hint that you're gonna get a big number, right? Not a probability. And we're probably using either permutations or combinations. And that goes like this, where n is the number, the total that you're choosing from, and this is the number that you're choosing. Now, what's the difference between the P and the C? P stands for permutations, and my hint for that word was there's some kind of priority given, the order matters. And for C, those are combinations, and my hint was the word committee, which is literally what it says in the first question, okay? How many ways can you choose? Somebody tell me, give me an example of, I'll just talk. All right, so the difference is, does the order matter? Meaning, does ABC, BAC, CAB, do those all count as one bunch of 3 letters, or do they count as different groups? Okay? If it's a committee, the same group of 5 people, doesn't matter what order they were picked in. So that is a combination question. So then we need to find that C button on our calculator and do out of how many? 16, we are choosing 5 for number 13A. So it is under math, arrow to the right to the probability. It is choice number 3. And out of 16, we are choosing 5. Whoops. If you have an older calculator, you have to put the 16 in first, and then it'll literally say NCR, and then you put in the 5, and then you hit enter. 4368, guys? All right, and then the next one says, how many different ways can first, second, and third place be awarded in a race with 8 runners? This is a permutation question. If you want to do it as one, it's 8P3. Anybody know how my brain would work on this? How many ways can we pick first place? 8. How many ways can we pick second? 7. How many ways can we pick third? 6. So that's the same thing as 8P3. Anybody have that number? 56. 356? 336? Okay. Thank you. All right. How many ways can 7 students line up at the door? If it's different ways of lining up, then the order matters. So you could do 7P7. That is the same as 7 factorial, or 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Any of those will get you the same answer, and I don't know what the number is. I'll let you figure it out. Okay. Then we need to get to these chart questions. And I cannot stress enough that you need to understand these, and you need to ask questions if you're struggling. You need to make yourself notes about why we did something. Go back over them tonight. Always on the SAT as well, but some questions with a chart doesn't necessarily the same probability kind, but answer the following questions about the type of skates chosen based on age of the skater. Okay, so what is the probability? That's what the P is. Rollerblades and over 30. So out of everybody, this does not distinguish who we're talking about. So out of everybody, which was a total of 105 people, what is the probability that we chose somebody who picked rollerblades and were over 30? How many people fall in that category? 16 out of 105. I'm not going to reduce, even if it did. I don't think that does, but all right. Age 8 to 15, given that they chose rollerblades. Does anybody remember what given does? Means we're only talking about the people who picked rollerblades, so therefore it changes the denominator. Does that sound familiar? Okay, so given that they want to wear rollerblades, there were 73. And then it says, what's the chance that they were age 8 to 15? How many of them? 22? This tells you what the denominator is going to be. Okay. Part C. 4-wheel skates or over 30. How many people are we talking about total there to find the probability out of? everybody, so it's out of 105, but we're gonna have to add some things together because the winners include everybody who picked four-wheel skates or was over 30. They don't have to be both. So four-wheel were these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys, and over 30 would include these guys. Yes, do you understand? So I would say let's just do 32 plus 16, because it's all of the four-wheel plus anybody else who's over 30. I read that correctly, didn't I, guys? Okay, so 32 plus, did I read it wrong? It can be both. If I said, if you asked me, do you prefer four-wheel skates or are you over 30? I would say yes, because both. Don't give me those inline things. Okay. 48 over 105? I don't know if that reduces, I don't care. I'm just gonna leave it because I want you, and you're fine leaving, then you know where you got it from the chart. Okay, rollerblades given. Okay, now we're at a given, so what does that change? Denominator, given 16 to 30-year-olds, so our denominator is gonna be 37. Okay. How many of those 37 said they wanted rollerblades? So 33 out of 37. Does it make sense when you think about it now? The probability that somebody's gonna pick rollerblades, given we know they're 16 to 30. So we're talking about this category, rollerblades would be 33 out of the 37. All right, over 15 and prefer four-wheel skates. Over 15 would be, ooh, we gotta add some stuff up, don't we? Over 15 and prefer four-wheel skates would be, these 13 people, yes? They're both over 15, right? And then both those categories prefer, and then out of how many? 105. All right, can you answer F then? Under 7 and prefer four-wheel skates. Yeah, that's just this set right here, under 7 and prefer four-wheel skates, 12 out of 105. Okay, questions? I can make up a couple more if we need to. We all right? All right, then the last section that's on the quiz is about box and whisker plots and putting stuff in your calculator and finding mean, median, mode, all that good stuff. So do you remember how to put this in your calculator? Stat enter to get to the list. If you need to clear out a list, you go up onto the title and hit clear enter. And then if you have a list 1, you want to put them in list 1. If you don't have a list 1, you can always bring it up to me and I'll fix it for you. But I think I have them in right. 8, 5, 13, 15, 12, 6, and 21. And then if we want the mean and all that good stuff, where do we go? Stat, right arrow, one variable stats. Make sure it says list 1 and does not have a frequency list. If you have my calculators, or otherwise it defaults to list 1 and you can just hit enter. What does the X with the bar mean? That is the mean. Sorry. I always put that on there and then think I can move it. Come on. X with the bar, 11.4, good enough. And then it'll specify which kind of standard deviation, but I was so kind as to actually tell you what it looks like on the calculator. So this one is 5.2. Everybody see that on your screen? Then the 5-number summary. Anybody remember how we find that mess? We have to scroll down. The little arrow tells us there's more information down there. And then the min was 5. The Q1 was 6. Does anybody else have these numbers? Didn't mess up, did I? 15 and 21. I just want to take 10 seconds, if I can remember how to do this myself, to show you the calculator actually does a box and whisker plot. Don't mess with this because it's not worth it, but plot 1, this one would show us if there's any outliers, and then a zoom stats maybe. Well, it's got some extra junk in here from this question, but so it does draw us the box and whisker plot, and it shows that there's no outliers, so that's good to know, but there isn't outliers on, you actually don't even have to draw a box and whisker plot tomorrow, but if we had a scale, let's kind of mark off evenly like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All right, so can you draw this? Do you remember how this goes? You go 5 to 6, and then the box goes to 12, and the other half of the box goes from 12 to 15, and then a whisker to 21. Well, you can either put a line or a dot at the end of your whisker. I don't care. All right, anybody give me 3 true statements? Somebody tell me 1. What was this about? Number of failures? Okay. So I don't know if it's teachers or what, but let's say 25% of the teachers had what? Finish my thought, guys. Make a true statement here. Sure, from 6 to 12 would be that half of the box would be 25%, right? All right, what's another true statement? Anything? 50% had over what? I don't know. What else you want to tell me? You have to answer true false questions tomorrow, not write them, okay? But no one can think of one more true statement. No one had more than 21 failures. No one had less than 5 failures. Okay. If I change the question and I said, this represents 100 teachers, okay? Could I ask you exactly how many teachers had between 5 and 6? Because that would be a fourth of the teachers, right? Because it's 25%. And then you could figure out 25% of 100 teachers would be 25 teachers. Okay. Now let's answer some questions here. The range of weights. This is the 80 fillets in grams. Okay, what was the range of weights about? How do you do that? Max minus the min. So what do you want to approximate the max and min to be? So about 10.5 grams was the Range, interquartile range, do you remember what that meant? Yeah, the box, the range from the one end of the box to the other. So 23 minus, can I just call that 16? So it'd be about 7. The percent of fillets weighing over 16 grams. Yeah, I'm not trying to be tricky here, guys. I know it doesn't look like it's right on 16, but from this end of the box all the way over is 75%. Did less fillets weigh over 23, so this little piece, then weighed under 16, this piece? Explain. This is a question on the quiz. It's not necessarily an explain question, might be a true false, but does this represent less fillets than this? This is 25%, remember? So 25% of 80 fillets would be a fourth, so 20 of them, is that right? So 20 fillets weighed here and here, and 20 fillets weighed between here and here. So did less fillets weigh? No. But why is it shorter whisker up here? Because there was 20 of them that weighed really close, they weighed between 23 and 23 and a half, right? But down here, there were the bottom 20 of them were very spread out. The bottom 25% were more spread out. Okay, it's a true-false question. You just have to know that it's 25% in each piece, so it doesn't matter whether it's longer or shorter, it's still the same number of data points. What percent of fillets weighed over 20.5? 50 from the middle of the box up. Of the 80 fillets, about how many weighed between 20.5 and 23? Well, what percent is that right here? So it's 25% of 80, or 0.25 times 80, which is 20 fillets. And true or false, 60 of the fillets weighed over 16 grams. Over 16 would be 75%, right? Everybody see that? We already said that, I think. 75% of 80, 0.75 times 80, is that 60? So this was true. Questions? Okay, those kind of are on the quiz. All right, now what do you want to go back and talk about? More vector stuff, I'm thinking would be good. How about number 9? I'll start it from scratch. Looks like we started it a little bit yesterday. A constant force of 12 newtons is being applied in an angle of 68 degrees. So I'm going to draw kind of short, 12 newtons at 68 degrees. So the components of that would be 12 cosine of 68, 12 sine of 68. And what mode should we be in? That was 68 degrees, right? So we should be in degree mode. At the same time, constant force of 70 is being applied at 125. Okay, 125 would be this direction, and 70 would be a lot longer, right? And that's all the way around to here, 125. Okay, so my picture is not very accurate, but it would be 70 cosine of 125, 70 sine of 125. Okay, how do we find the magnitude and direction? It's a process. We have to first add and find the components, and then magnitude always means what? Yep, square root of a squared plus b squared. And direction always means inverse tangent of b over a once we found the components. All right, so let's add these quickly. Am I in degrees? I am. 12 cosine of, was it 68? Plus 70 cosine of 125. Did I remember the numbers right, guys? Oh, I forgot cosine though. Anybody get negative 35.7? And then we got to do it over again with sine. And I got 68.5, negative 35.7 and 68.5. Negative 35.7 and 68.5. Did I write it down right? Does that make any sense? If you were to, if Hofbauer, remember the elementary school scooters, did we talk about this? Little school scooters you sat on in elementary PE sometimes, you need to run your fingers over. Anyway, just if you're, have something with no friction and it's sitting right here, and somebody's pulling this way and somebody's pulling this way by a lot stronger, is it going to pull into quadrant 2? Meaning, is it going to end up going a little bit negative, positive? Yes? Okay. So we are in the right area. So to find the number of newtons, we do Pythagorean theorem, and we don't need the negatives. I'm going to ask you guys to type that and somebody give me an answer. 77.2. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah. That's after square root.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just confusing me because it's going, they're both pulling enough in the same direction that it's longer. All right. And the angle, remember you got to do inverse tangent of 68.5 over negative 35.7. And that gives you what? Negative what? Negative 62 roughly. Okay. Is that the right answer? Remember, look at the quadrant we were in right here. This is a quadrant 2 number, right? Coordinates push you into quadrant 2, so we have to add 180, which is what, 108? Is that, did I add wrong?
No, you're doing one. Depends on if you round it.
It's 107 if you round. What? Did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, so I would have 118 here. Did I? Can't subtract? Because was this closer to 63? Was this 62 point something?
It was,
Okay. So this was like 117.6? Whatever. Yes? We close? Okay. Does it make sense that it was in between 125 and 68? Because 125 was pulling that way, 68 pulling this way, so that would wind up somewhere in between those, okay? All right, sorry if my numbers. Is it, what does it come out?
if you do negative 62.4 plus 180, it's 117.6.
Okay, that's what I had. All right, backing up some more. Do we need to do this one? What do you want to do? We don't have a ton of time left. What would you like me to talk about? You want more vectors? You want something from the front page? What?
We do that one.
Do this one? Yeah. Okay, How do you subtract? Remember, it's backwards of what you think. Yeah, -4 minus -2, excuse me, 6 minus 9. So I got -2, -3. Anybody get that? Okay. Magnitude is still Pythagorean theorem. So it's 2 squared plus 3 squared, square root of 13, or 3 point something. Find the direction angle. Okay, look at our numbers right here. We need an angle in what quadrant? Quadrant 3. So if we do inverse tangent of -3 over -2, it's going to think we're positive. What does it give us? 60 something? I don't know, I'm guessing. Okay, what do we have to do? Okay, -3 was the y, sorry. -2, -3 is here, and it thinks we're here. Oh, 50, where did I get 68? 56.3. We need to move it all the way around to here, so we just need to add 180. $236. Now, I don't know that the one on the quiz is that complicated. I usually put trickier ones on the review than I do the quiz, but it helped us review. Okay. Do we need to do this one? I'll just draw it so you get the right angle, but remember, this is where you just do, like, it's going to be 12 cosine of something, 12 sine of something, and you write down your decimals and you're done. But off of north, 30 degrees towards the west, so what are we going to type? 12 cosine of... It's got to be off the x-axis, so 90 plus 30 would be 120. Questions? For the bearings in this class, we are always going to start off the first one and then measure towards the second one, okay? Do you want to do one of these again? Do you want me to be done? You need to see a delta math something? What do you need? Yes. I'm gonna finish this one since I started it, but this, if it said, where's the sine 1/2, you go to your unit circle and you find a sine of 1/2. And that happens at pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. Is that right, guys? And then you'd be done, except that it wasn't a u in here, it was a 4x. So what do we have to do to finish solving? Yes, we have to take 1/4 of everything, including that 2 pi n back there. If you're not good with fractions, you're going to type 1/4 times 1/6 and then put the pi in. It should be pi over 24 plus or minus 1/4 times 2 is 2/4 or 1/2. 1/2 pi n. I don't care how you write it. This one should be 5/24. Questions? We'll say in the directions, use substitution. Is that going to be enough of a hint to remind you how to do those? All right, then someone asked about number 4, the first one. Okay, this is the hint for this section, Pythagorean identity trade. Pythagorean identity trade. There is not a Pythagorean identity for sine, but there is a Pythagorean identity for cosine squared. What is the trade you can make for cosine squared? 1 minus sine squared equals 3 minus 3 sine theta. Then what? It's got to equal 0. I'm going to move everything to the right because I like my squared term to be positive. So I will have 0 equals a sine squared, a negative 3 sine theta, and then this guy combines with this guy to be a plus 2. Did someone else get that? Okay, how's that going to factor? Sine squared is just sine times sine. Only way to get a 2 is 1 and a 2. To get a positive 2, but make them add up to negative 3, what? 2 negatives. Then if I set them equal to 0, I get the sine is 1 or the sine is 2. Are either one of those possible? Yep, the sine can be 1. Sine can't be 2 because it can't be more than 1. And that happens at pi over 2. Do we need a plus or minus 2 pi n? Said only the answers between 0 and 2 pi. There's only one place, so we're done. Do you remember the graphing? Is this going to be enough of a hint to get it right in the calculator? Got to put it in radians. In y1, you're going to put the cosine of x. In y2, you're going to type 2 divided by 3. Then you're going to find the intersection points. And you're only going to list what? The x values. Not ordered pairs. And then we had the one that was a retake. Anything else? Those of you who've worked on delta math, did you run into anything? Everything seems okay? Any questions on anything? Need to see a delta math